Albert Camus said that we can't possibly change the circumstances of our future if we are fully satisfied with the circumstances of the present. I'm a fairly satisfied person, but there are a couple of things that I am definitely not satisfied with. I want to talk about those, and then I'll get into the example that I have for you today, which is quite beautiful. I'm dissatisfied with the architecture and engineering professions because over the last 40 years or so, the professionals have worked very hard to divorce themselves from any semblance of risk, which means we become hyper-specialized. You've probably seen this. As an architect, I'm only allowed to design the pretty stuff, and then I hand it over to an engineer to design the workings, and God forbid they don't actually work together. We can't do this anymore. We can't. And this specialization appears throughout our society. You've seen it in education. You've seen it in healthcare. You've seen it in government. And you've certainly seen it in the buildings that we live and work in. I'm Jodi Smits Anderson. I'm Director of Sustainability Programs for the Dormitory Authority, State of New York. If I could have my choice as an architect or as a person, I think my title would be something more like thinker, instigator, doer. And I think if we could all claim that title, we will stop this specialization that has taken us over, and we will collaborate on the ideas and truly understand what needs to be done to come to a right answer. So in order to talk about this, I just threw a couple of ideas up on the slide, questions, comments I've had about green buildings over the last 15 or 20 years. One of them is basically the preconception that green buildings cost more. And I have a very good answer to that. Actually, I have two answers. The first answer is more than what? Because what are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to quality? Are you comparing it to a building that works? Or are you comparing it to something that was, whipped out really fast and just barely functions as a shelter? The other answer is, well, if it costs more, you're probably doing it wrong, at least regarding sustainability. Because sustainability is a balance and a collaboration that takes really good attention to detail and a willingness to set goals and stick with them. Another observation, and I still experience this, is green building always like a yurt in the middle of nowhere with a goat grazing in the field? Right? Well, no. Of course, we see high-performing buildings that are skyscrapers like the Bank of America in New York City. We see excellent air quality, good attention to detail, and energy usage and daylighting in schools and homes right here in Albany, New York. It's a full range of our shelters can be sustainable. Another observation, and this is great, actually there are two observations. One is, green buildings are a burden, and green buildings are a benefit. This is kind of like, look before you leap, he who hesitates is lost. Okay, they don't quite work together. Sex is dirty, save it for someone you love. Right? How many people here have kids? Right, burden or benefit? Burden or benefit, right? The answer is yes, of course. They're a burden and a benefit. Anything truly worth doing well is probably both. It takes a lot of work invested in a program, in a project, in a question, even if it's purchasing milk at the store, in order to make a good decision that can benefit you. So that's my son there up on the screen. That was when he was 2. He's now 9. So at 9, he's not quite a full burden yet. I think about 13, he'll be a real burden. And then eventually he'll again become a benefit. And I'm looking forward to all of those experiences. What we're doing in all of this discussion is trying to find the right answer. Now, I know the title of my talk is The One Wrong Answer. And the reason that I'm talking now about the right answer is because there are many right answers. And I'm going to illustrate the many right answers that are available to us in this excellent example that I'm going to tell you this story about Woodland Hill Montessori School. This is a school that my son goes to now. It's over in East Greenbush or North Greenbush, depending on who you are and how picky you want to get. And they have a Java connection once a month, which is a coffee house that they do in the morning. They invite the parents to come and have coffee and bagels with their kids. It's a fundraiser for the middle school because every single middle school needs a little extra money to take their cultural trips and to do the programs that they want to do. So I attended this amazing coffee shop for several years, once a month, fuming at the styrofoam cups and the limited offerings at the coffee shop. It was in one little classroom in the back. And I called up one day and said, you know what, I would really love to donate paper cups to the Java Connection. And that way I won't have to be upset every time I show up as a sustainability person eating my breakfast with my son. And that way the school won't have to foot the bill for those paper cups, which sometimes can be more expensive. The teacher, being very savvy, said, why don't you come in, teach my class for a day, and talk to the middle schoolers about sustainability in general. And I was delightfully roped into talking to them, which was great. Now, Yogi Berra is credited with saying, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up somewhere else. Okay? And toward that end, the roadmap that I use for just about every decision I make is triple bottom line. And I talked with the kids about people, planet, and profit, and the balance of those three ideas in every decision they make. We had some discussion about those foam cups. They said, well, throw them out. We'll use paper. I said, wait a minute. You've already spent money. Is there some way you can use them, but still work toward a greener coffee house? So they came up with ideas about stickers, listing how much foam is in our landfills, or the half-life of styrofoam, whatever it was, and the ideas started rolling. They saw it as an opportunity. Now, Thomas Edison said, most people avoid opportunity because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. But these kids were not afraid of work. So I'm going to run through many slides about the improvements they made in their coffee house, because when I showed up the next month, it was phenomenal. As far as people goes, Anita Roderick of the Body Shop says, take it personally. Make it about the people. Make it about yourself. And they took it personally. They provided a wide variety of foods, and now every single kid is happy. And they also sourced from local bakeries and advertised those businesses at the coffee house. They made sure that all of the middle school kids had an opportunity to be involved in the decisions, which invested them in the process, and in the actual serving, so that they were learning skills during this coffee house. They also, this is my favorite part, absolute favorite, they looked way outside what would you think of as normal for a coffee house. They said, what other programs in the school could benefit from this experience, and how could we benefit from those programs? So they have violinists set up in the corner. These kids are learning violin at school. What a fantastic opportunity to get them performing in public. And think of the atmosphere, having coffee and bagels or local pastries with your kids, violins playing in the background. There is nothing better. I love going to the coffee house every month now. And I spend more, which is part of the story. The next piece is planet. Mary Poppins said that enough is as good as a feast. And we have to learn that. We're in an all-you-can-eat buffet kind of mentality. When we go, we know we've paid for it. We eat all we possibly can and more because we paid for it. Enough is as good as a feast. We need to know that with energy, with resources, and with every choice we make. And so they address this by doing the simple things. If you can bring your own mug or use a reusable mug and you're comfortable with that, please do. We encourage you to. Easy solution. They also sourced fair trade, local, and organic goods whenever they could. This reduced greenhouse gas emissions, local. It really talks about the social ethic behind what they're doing by sourcing fair trade. And organic is definitely good for the planet. In addition, they brought nature into the experience. Whenever they can, they source local flowers, put them on the tables, and connection to nature makes the full picture of why the planet is important. Profit. Yvonne Chouinard, who's the founder of Patagonia, actually says, without a healthy environment, there are no stakeholders. There are no employees. There is no business. So we have to factor profit in. And anyone who is not factoring profit in or balancing budget into the discussion of sustainability isn't being sustainable. I don't care who you are or how good your intentions are. We have to make sure we understand the money. And these kids do understand the money. They invested in reusable signage. So every month they can dress this room as beautifully as possible. They invested in reusable tablecloths. They invested in a juice machine so they could expand their offerings to the people coming. They have a teacher who's actually working with them to make cultural foods that can be sold for lunch, like big chili pots, and they sell lunch to everyone for a couple of bucks in reusable plastic containers. All of this took investment and a commitment to their end goals. They have 3 cashiers running the cash boxes now, and every one of those kids is getting the experience of handling money and dealing with patrons directly and benefiting tremendously from that experience. To top it all off, this is what the room looks like now. It's crowded every month. They tripled their profits. It's really incredible, doing good and doing better all in the same breath. So that definitely is an incredible story of one right answer. But I want to make it clear that there isn't always one right answer. In fact, there's never one right answer. This would be an entirely different story in a school that doesn't have a big gathering room. There would be a different opportunity if the school didn't have a board willing to take that risk of having a coffee house once a month. It would be a different story in a place without a teacher invested in cooking and serving lunches to people. But every single situation with its different inherent challenges will have opportunities that are inherent to that situation as well. So in this case, the right answer, using People, Planet, Profit as a driver, became, local goods. Let's reuse mugs. Let's give people a cost break for reusing their mugs. Let's buy healthier, fair trade coffee, and let's make the atmosphere beautiful, and it worked great for them. They all aimed for this goal and achieved it. This target was clear. But I want to caution everybody that there are a lot of targets out there. And when you're planning any kind of solution to any kind of project, a building design project, whatever it be, you need to make sure that your team is all focused on the same goal, the same target, because they're all right targets. In addition to focusing on the right target, you have to make sure that when those goals are set, you give the owners and the team members, whoever's driving the project, whoever's supporting the project, not only the right, but the responsibility to maintain those goals and not waffle, because you will not have success without that clarity. That holds for middle schoolers, and that holds for people in government, and that holds for everyone in this room. So the point of this talk was to come to the one wrong answer. I'm hoping you guys sense the one wrong answer already, but I'm going to say the one wrong answer now and make sure that you all know the one wrong answer. The one wrong answer that kills sustainability and will undermine any endeavor that is worthwhile in this world. And that one wrong answer has many names. It is a refusal to change. It is lack of thought. It is soul sourcing. We need to reach out. It is lack of engagement. It is absolutely not defining the need. It is the same old, same old. We have to stop doing what we did yesterday. Sure, it worked yesterday. Maybe it didn't work yesterday. What is today? And the real one wrong answer is complacency, which we need to avoid with all of our hearts and beings. And in the way to avoid complacency, and this comes from somebody who's trying every day to change the staffing of a New York State authority, to move New York State policy to address climate change, to change my own life so I do better today than I did yesterday, even on the little questions. Think, and you will be greener. Thank you very much.